And we're starting to see a lot of that hyper partisanship happen here in Canada. Like we're really seeing, some people say, oh, it's the Donald Trump effect, right? That you're going to use this dog whistle politics, right? Where you say certain things to certain people and they understand what you mean, right? And it's like we're starting to see a lot of those tactics and strategies now in Canada, which just kind of scares me, to be honest. Like I don't feel that belongs in politics. That's just hate. That's just garbage. We don't need, right? Like let's fight politics on your ideas. Let's talk about them and see, at the end of the day, your idea works, your idea doesn't. Let's vote for the idea that works. Right.
Well, I think even Donald Trump, he's a symptom of something bigger. We've been seeing this happen across the world. Politics, the nationalists are gaining momentum. We saw this in India before Trump.
Yeah.
Right. It's happening around the world.
Yes.
It's happening in the UK. Nationalism is gaining steam. And that's what Trump is. Trump is a nationalist, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're seeing it in Canada. I don't know if it's spilling over in Canada from us because I don't want to get blamed for everything.
I won't blame you, but I think there is something happening worldwide. Yeah. And I think snippets of it are landing in different countries and having different effects, right? Yeah. So we're seeing we saw the Yellow Jackets in France. We had a version of the Yellow Jackets here, right? And this Trump stuff where, some of our politicians are starting to mimic and monkey what Trump says and does. Right.
Because they see him getting away with it.
Yeah, they see that working there. Hey, maybe it'll work here. Like even the new conservative leader, he in some of his messaging, like now that he's become the leader, is hey, we need to take Canada back.
Right.
That's been his message. We need to take Canada back. And I'm just asking, take it back from what? Or from who?
Let's make America great again. It's different version of that.
Yeah, it's a different version of that.
So so on the left you have NDP all the way to the left, then you have the Liberals. And then you have conservatives. So are the conservatives also split into multiple conservative groups, or is it just the conservatives on the other side?
Like your version of Tea Partiers and things like that?
Right. Well, because you got NDP and you got Liberals.
Yeah.
And conservatives. And then is there something to the right of the conservatives?
There's an attempt to have something to the right.
Right. Like our Tea Party. Well, our Tea Party's gone. Tea Party has become Trump, the Trump Party now.
Yeah.
All of those people just, as soon as he came on, they were like, okay, we're with that guy.
Yeah. There's an attempt, there's this one guy, he's like a reject conservative who's trying to create that kind of a vibe now. He was outright voted out. He got, 0% of the vote or something, very minimal, right? And he ran candidates all across the country and they didn't make a blip, right? They just didn't. So, that is here. That's definitely here. Yeah. And to even say your problem isn't happening in Canada, like this racism, this, this homophobia, this Islamophobia, that kind of stuff does happen here, right? Canada's not immune to that stuff at all, right? So I want to make that point clear. There is racism here. That hate does happen here, but it's still on the surface. It hasn't exploded everywhere.
Yeah. And I think it's different. I'm always arguing. Well, I shouldn't even say that. I think more me and my American friends and I, we have always made the point that Canada also has really racist problems, but your problems are different. Like in America, there's racism, and a lot of it is just name calling and funny looks or whatever. And not really, it doesn't always go really bad. I'm saying most of it because there's a lot of it. I'm saying as a percentage. And then we have those violent incidents or the actual hate crimes. But a lot of those are due to people just mistaking us for Muslim. It's an identity. They don't know. There's an ignorance. They don't know. And then something happens. But what I've noticed in Canada is the racism is very specific. They know who the Sikhs are, and they don't like them. The people that are racist against them. Not a lot of Canadians like the Sikhs. I'm not saying that, but the ones that are acting out like that, they're acting out because they know the Sikh community. They don't like that community, and they attack them on those things. It's not a mistaken identity type of thing like you see in the U.S. a lot of times.
Yeah, what I've found is the case that you're attacked not only because you're a Sikh, but it might just be because you're just different. You're just a brown skinned person.
Right.
you got a beard. It might have not even be related to being Muslim looking or anything like that. It's just pure hate, right?
Right.
So we have that. We definitely have that. There's no doubt about that. I mean, even with Black Lives Matter, I mean, that's huge right now. And it's huge in Canada too, right? But there's been instances of people from the Black community who have had very negative interactions with the police, resulting in death, resulting in, hurt, loss. Like that's happening here too, right? We're not immune to that at all.
Right. Okay, so NDP, the Liberal. So Justin Trudeau is the leader of the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
And Jagmeet Singh was the leader of the NDP.
He is currently.
He is the current leader of the NDP. That's but right. Since the NDP didn't win the most seats, he's not the prime minister. But does that make him like second in charge? Like, how does that work there? Does it like a speaker of the house or a vice president type role, or
no? So he's the leader of the party.
Okay.
So think of it as sort of like a race, right? So the Liberals won the race because they had the most number. Okay. Second place is the Conservatives. And because you're second, you're given the special designation of being the official opposition. So you're like the Queen's official opposition, right? Like you're representative of the Queen in that way because we're a Commonwealth country. Oh, yeah. Then third place is the NDP. So Jagmeet is third place. And then we have other parties represented too. We have the Bloc Québécois, which is a political party only based in Quebec. But because Quebec, the way Quebec is designed, they have a lot of seats, a lot of sway. So they're able to send, representatives there, and they can form like a pretty big party and be a big deal actually in Parliament. So you have that. We also have members of the Green Party of Canada, which is very environmental, big policy planks. That's their shtick. I think that's it. I think we have a couple of independents also sitting who are not affiliated with any political party.
Okay. But what power do they have? Because I'm so ignorant of Canadian politics, but I try to follow a little bit because I got so excited for Jagmeet Singh. I mean, honestly, I was rooting for him so bad, and I was watching it. I was trying to understand it, but I was still kind of confused. But there was something about like they can form these coalitions so that they can team up and have these numbers. And when they are vying for this power, kind of vying for the same position, and they have these common things, it almost makes sense to say like, hey, look, we're going to get together because this group now, we can outvote the Conservatives.
Yeah. So coalition's kind of a dirty word in Canadian politics. Like it's always been a bad connotation because you end up getting in bed with the wrong people for the wrong reasons, right? Okay. So it's kind of like a weird thing. But yeah, coalitions do happen. There was a possibility of a coalition. I won't even say coalition. I'll say a partnership, right? Okay. Where now the NDP can partner with the Liberals because the Liberals don't have a super majority anymore. They do have a majority of seats, but if all the other parties come together and vote together, they can bring down the government and their stuff won't pass. The House has lost confidence in the government, and then, an election could be triggered, like that kind of stuff, right?
I see.
So, but for the NDP to work with the Conservatives, that's a pretty big leap from like super left to super right.
Right. Okay.
Right. And what common ground do you guys even have, right, between these two? So it's hard to form a partnership with someone that you don't have a lot of common ground with.